Good afternoon. It's a Tuesday edition of Driven AF Recovery. We had some issues Friday, so we're giving it to you Tuesday. So welcome back, a couple days late. We're here with our friend Brook to talk about self-awareness in recovery and in life and just trying to be a better human, basically. That's going to be our discussion tonight, and I'm going to let Brook introduce himself.
How you doing? My name is Brook, like Maddie said. So just a short background, in and out of recovery for basically almost 30 years. Went to my first treatment center, early 20s. Have put multiple years of sobriety together, followed by an even worse relapse or a prison stint. So having been through 7 different rehabs, I got to the point where I realized that rehab wasn't going to save me. I had to save myself. And Maddie touched on self-awareness, and until I, and there's some other self words like self-honesty, self-acceptance that come to mind when I think of self-awareness, because I had to realize that I was the problem, that no treatment center, no person was going to save me. I had to save myself, and that I was the problem. And I didn't want to look at that before. I figured if circumstances got better, people started to act accordingly, that my life would get better, and it never happened. So until I realized that I was 100% the problem, not until then was I able to make some changes in my life.
I mean, that's a pretty big pill to swallow, man. And I agree, because I had to do the same thing. Because, I knew I was the problem to some degree all along in my 12 years, but I would always find reasons why I was the problem. But those weren't me.
No.
So that was, I think, almost, man, to a T, everybody I know that's really doing well, including myself, got to that point where I was like, I am my own problem. I am the only one that can fucking fix this problem, because nobody else can or will or is going to ever do it for me, even if it was possible, which I don't even think it is. I think you're right. Like, you have to have that come to Jesus moment where you're like, I'm fucked up and I'm the reason why.
And something you said too that I never even put together with it was the self acceptance of the self-awareness. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of shit that I was aware of and that I knew about myself and about my addiction, but I kept doing them thinking I could beat it somehow or get around it or whatever. And I think until I actually accepted these things and it's just that's how I am, and it's me that needs to fix them and do some internal work, that there's no fucking way around it. There's no easy way. There's no I can still be okay and not address this or still be this way, or something we were just talking about, I could still act fucking scummy, you know what I mean, and then be in recovery or get better, you know what I mean, and that's just not fucking possible.
You have a better life still acting like shit.
Yeah.
Right. Well, everything I did in my life was through manipulation, and it was all about self. Selfish, self-centered, trying to gain versus ever giving a shit about anybody else. It was all about me, and I wondered why none of my relationships were working. Why people didn't like me. Why
People still don't like you.
Baffled.
But Steve mentioned the word scummy, and I'll go a little bit into scumbag, because that's my definition of being a scumbag is just selfish and self-centered and manipulative, dishonest, and that's how I got through life, both when I was using and sober a lot of times. And the thing is the longer I continue those scumbag ways, the closer I am to my next drink or drug, without a doubt. And I'm not confused about that today, so I have to be very careful. And I fail on a daily basis, don't get me wrong. It's not catastrophic like it once was, that's where self-awareness comes in. Hey, this ain't right, let's fix it before it gets catastrophic. Versus in the old days, I found some joy in being a scumbag, and
I think we all did too, to a degree.
Well, we wouldn't have done it for so long.
Yeah.
Otherwise, right?
But one other thing that comes to mind for me when I think about self-awareness is people ask me a lot, when we do our groups, how do you stand behind a bar, you know what I mean, hang out with your coworkers when they're drinking and stuff like that. And I think a lot of it has to do with self-awareness and self-acceptance. Like you were talking about the acceptance. Like, I know who the fuck I am. I accept the fact that if I touch that thing, my life is going to be destroyed. You know what I mean? Like I'm aware now. I'm aware of what happens if I keep things locked in my head and don't talk about shit when I'm struggling. I'm very aware of what will happen if I pick up an alcohol or a drink or a drug or anything like that. You know what I mean? And I've accepted these things. And I'm also aware that like if I just remove the drugs, that like and continue in my old ways, that like I'm not going to progress into have the kind of future and be the person I want. So you know what I mean?
I think what I'm hearing from everybody, including me, is like you have to become a better person to make this shit work, right? And I mean, I think it's the self-awareness part of it. Like, I don't know, I'll ask you guys, did you try to you don't try to control everything and everyone else and get your way with everything anymore. I mean, you're aware of that and you change that.
Yeah.
But as an addict, at least for me, for sure, I'll say I was always controlling everything to get what I wanted.
And it's exhausting. It's exhausting to try to, you know, when you go back into that fixed managing control, I was trying to, you know, I was the guy that would start a new job and, you know, by the end of the second Friday, I needed a meeting with the CEO because I want to tell him how to run his business. You know, so, you know, but yeah, it's just, you know, being manipulative and dishonest and all about me got me through life. You know, not very successfully. I didn't realize that until later. I was sick and tired of living that way. And like I said, I was tired of living with shame and guilt of how I was treating other people. And not until, you know, somebody, you know, a mentor of mine, you know, gave me an assignment of doing some things outside of myself that I realized those are the things that actually make me feel good. And, you know.
Yeah, like whatever little joy we were talking about you got from acting like a scumbag and getting high is nothing compared to like the joy you get from actually doing some shit that's actually helpful to other human beings. I have found that out and I was very surprised. Actually.
Well, I think because it's more substantial and it's like it's going to be sustained over a longer period. Like sure, you know, manipulating a situation to your favor might make you happy for a second.
Oh, absolutely.
But like actually doing work on yourself and helping other people and trying to take them with you in your journey or, you know, help them into their own is something it's like a more lasting.
And you have better people around you when you do that shit. When you act the other way, you're never going to keep anybody around for very long.
That's the thing.
Everybody looks at you like the piece of shit that you were acting like.
I mean, we do groups, you work here and do, you know, sessions, and I think like for me, why I focus so much on like just trying to become a better person is because like, dude, even if maybe say I could have long-term sobriety without doing it, like why the fuck would I want to? You know what I mean? Like I want to become a better person, I want to enjoy my life, I want to be happy, I don't want to be a drug dealer or like a miserable fucking, you know, dickhead still not using drugs. Like,
when we walk in the doors, our self-esteem's in the toilet.
Yeah.
So, how, you know, and somebody told me a long time ago, the way to build a self-esteem is to do esteemable things. Well, that was never on my radar.
Yeah.
You know, that's true. I was looking, you know, if I had, you know, a nice house, a nice car, a dog, a good job, you know, money in my pocket, and a hot chick next to me, my life must be good. Well, why did I keep giving all that stuff away again? You know what I mean? And I could never put two and two together.
That's a great point. I think a huge like bullet point of self-awareness is realizing that all that shit, because actually the man who runs this facility said pretty much the same thing to me the last time I came back in was
That's
like,
not me.
You have no. I mean, good point. I like what you did there. But he literally was like, dude, he's like, you had everything you've talked about wanting, and yet you still fucking flushed all down the toilet to get high. He said, what's it gonna take? And I was like, but that's exactly what you're talking about. It's like doing esteemable things that are outside of yourself actually make me feel good about myself and want to keep doing them.
And oddly enough, then your life actually just typically gets better. Mine sure is fucking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's little things. I always thought, you know, I gotta give this guy money. I gotta do, you know, or a kidney. You know, no. I mean, I tell guys in here, it starts with replacing the toilet paper in the stall when it's done, not saying fuck the next guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do some little shit that was outside my sphere, because everything else was fuck everybody else. It's all about me.
Yeah.
You know, you're on your own. And it starts with small stuff. And as we have more, we can give more.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a much better way to live too, you know what I mean? Like even if you're not an addict, or you're not in recovery, like doing things outside yourself make you feel good and they make the world a better fucking place, so, you know. But I think if us is like, we're considered like the low end of society, you know, the addicts and the drug addicts and alcoholics, but if we can do this shit,
I can accept it today.
right? If we can do this shit, you know what I mean, outside of ourselves to help out other people, I mean, you know, maybe other people will be like, wow, this fucking monster with tattoos is actually a really kind fucking, you know, helpful person. Maybe I should be less of a prick so he doesn't murder me.
It usually takes people a few days to figure that out, but
I know.
No, there was a post the other day about, maybe it was just yesterday, about, you know, we can't take our boats and our, you know, motorcycles and our bank account with us when we go, but what we can take with us is what we leave behind. You know, my kids, I'm pretty sure will burn through, you know, the 40, 50 bucks I got left when you know, when I die. So, you know, but what do I leave behind? What type of example did I set for just being a decent human being? And you know, that's something I
Absolutely.
like I said, was never on my radar to try to do.
there's definitely some nobility in accepting the challenges of improving and doing it and showing other people it can be done. Which is part of what we all do here, I think, or try to do here. Make attempts at, you know, but
I mean, as far as, before we wrap up,
yeah.
I want to ask you guys, because I know it's been a big thing for me, like, have you learned things about yourself and about your addiction that, like, are, like, musts in order for you to be okay, or, you know what I mean, and not be, like, on the verge of going backwards or going back towards relapse?
Well, I mean, we talked about it a little bit before here, is emotions. You know, I have to be well, and that's awareness of my emotions. And anytime they're out of whack, there's a reason for it, and I have to, you know, there's a saying around there, you know, pause, pray, then proceed. I got to do it sometimes because, you know, my initial thought, my initial reaction is usually not one that's accepted in society.
Well, you're right, man. I think to piggyback what you just said, reactions, it's like reacting to the emotions I have. I still have them. I'm a human, you know what I mean? And I'm going to have emotions I have about certain situations. And like you said, some of my reactions would typically put me in fucking jail again, which I definitely don't want.
No.
But learn to, like you said, step back and fucking evaluate the shit before you make things worse. That is absolute self-awareness.
Yeah, I think that was a big one for me too, is something I learned the last time I was in treatment was, you know, thinking rationally instead of reacting emotionally, you know, and I shared something that I do. If I get, like, you know, a text message from a certain person. Remember last week I was like, sometimes I just flip the phone over and put it down when I feel my heart start racing and the adrenaline going.
Yeah.
And I walk away and I come back like 5 minutes later and I read it again. Then I respond, because at that point I've had a couple minutes, even if it's only 5 minutes to think about it before just reacting emotionally, because it always makes situations worse, man. And then my mental state gets worse and it can snowball. And I know where that can go. And I'm not saying that it would every time, but like I know that about myself. I'm an emotionally charged person. My emotions controlled me for a very long time. Like that was kind of a big reason why I kept going back out there, is because I had no idea how to control them. And I think being, like, accepting the fact that, like, I'm an emotional person, I need to get that shit under control, and so I'm not, like, here all the fucking time, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm kind of just,
I know well what you mean.
That was a big one for me, is being self-aware of that and self-accepting of that has helped me out a lot, so.
Yeah, you can't change something until you, first of all, recognize it and accept it and, you know, are aware of it. You know,
absolutely.
You know, and some of us come in so far in denial, you know, that we're not the problem, that drinking, drugs, other people and circumstances are the problem. No, absolutely not. The problem was there before I ever picked up my first drink.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Like you said before, that's a tough pill to swallow. Like
It is, but it's just true.
It's necessary.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to look in the mirror and be like, I'm the fucking problem. But you know what? 4 days before I came to, well, not this particular, but the other facility, I looked at myself in a fucking jail mirror before I went in front of a judge, and I didn't even know what the fuck I did, and said, I fucking do not like this motherfucker. What the fuck? And I'm like, this has got to stop. I'm not really really sure how, but this has gotta stop. And I got out and I made a call to get into fucking ECS 1. And that was the beginning of it, but that was the point where I was looked in that shitty, you can barely see yourself in the fucking reflection jail mirror.
That
whole
metal chrome.
Yeah. And I thought, this shit's gotta stop and I'm the fucking cause of all of it.
Yeah.
I remember having that thought.
It's amazing what learning things about yourself can do for you. Like you said, you can't address it if you don't recognize it, you know, so. Address it.
Well, that's why
deal
self-awareness
with
is so
it.
fucking huge, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand or aware of the actual problems, whether, even now, like, problems that have to be solved, you can't fix them.
Right.
So without that, you're fucked right off the get-go.
And I think that's our goal here is to just give these guys a little bit of self-awareness, because we're not gonna fix somebody in 28 days. You know what, the perfect counselor, the perfect rehab, the perfect 12-step program, any of that, until you're aware that.
Of your own issues.
You know what I mean, and obviously, you know, that's what all of those things that we just talked about can do is, you know, you take an honest inventory or assessment of yourself and look at it, and you realize you're the problem, hopefully, because.
Yeah.
If you are honest in that assessment, I think
Yeah.
there's no chance you're not going to realize you're the problem. But it's tough to sit there and honestly evaluate your fucked up self. It's not comfortable.
Because the same things happen to everybody out there in the world that happen to us.
Right.
We just
We
don't.
just deal with it with drugs and.
Right, drugs and.
Shitty scumbag behavior.
So.
Anything in closing, gentlemen?
No, that was all I wanted to ask you guys, was, you know, anything you can identify, and I think emotions is a big thing, we talk about it a lot, we talk about it all the time, and, you know, being aware of your emotions and what they can do to you, and, you know, of your own shit, your own behaviors, and like you said, that's how you start to fix them, is by identifying, becoming aware and accepting them, then you can work on it, fixing them. Once you identify the problem, what do you always tell me? You identify it, then you focus on solutions.
That's it.
That's it, solutions, and there's a ton of them, you know, you just.
You gotta open your mind for it.
Open your mind, take suggestions, you know, that's another thing, you know, when I think I have all the answers, obviously my ears are closed and I don't wanna take any suggestions from people that it's, you know, if I wanna fix something at home, I watch a YouTube video, but I wanna fix my life and
Right, you
I don't need any help.
I got this.
That was a big self-awareness point. The point for me was realizing that I don't.
My arrest record will reflect it.
Yeah.
Realizing my ego got in the way was a big self-awareness point for me too.
That's a whole another
nother-
3-part series
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about
I
ego.
actually just listened to a great podcast about that today, like
Yeah.
the proper time to use a proper ego and the proper time for fucking humility.
Yeah.
It's very good shit.
Yeah, they're both useful.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, if correctly
Exactly.
used.
Exactly.
But that pretty much goes with everything.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Anyway, Brooke, thank you for joining us. I think you're definitely gonna come back for another one at some point, right? I hope.
Maybe.
Cool.
We finally got it together,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, sorry, I fucked that up last week, man. Those duty calls.
Well, I've been thinking we'll talk anyway. Anyhow, everybody have a great week. Friday night, we're gonna have at least one female guest, if not two, possibly. I'm gonna go add to the repertoire and people coming in and the guests, and we're gonna keep trying to bring people like this in, and you know, keep things interesting.
Yeah.
You know, our contact information is on there. You can get a hold of us at Brothers in Arms on Facebook or that Driven AF Recovery _22 on Instagram. And our information's all on those things if you need to get a hold of somebody for help. So
Yeah.
with that, share if it helps somebody. Let us know how we're doing. You know, like, subscribe, whatever you care to do. If you found some value in this, you know, share the value, or at least let us know, you know, what we could do better, what we're doing right.
Yeah, thank you, and we will see whoever watches Friday.
All right.
We
have a great
appreciate
week.
it. Everybody take care. And this is gonna get fucked up, I almost guarantee it. Boom! Well, you know.
Did it work?
No,
it did
still
not. We're
sick.
still recording.